January 2026. The Atlantic Ocean is no longer a bridge, it's a front line. For 80 years, the alliance between Washington and Brussels was the bedrock of the world. But today, that bedrock is shattering. A massive trade war, fueled by industrial subsidies and energy blackmail, is tearing the West apart. The era of the United West is over. Welcome to the Great Divorce. It started with the Inflation Reduction Act, a vacuum cleaner for European industry. By 2026, the U.S. has pulled over $200 billion in manufacturing investment out of Germany and France. While Washington promises green jobs at home, European factories are going silent. This isn't just competition. It's a targeted deindustrialization of America's oldest allies. The weapon of choice? Energy. After the total cutoff from Russian gas, Europe became a hostage to American LNG. In 2026, European companies pay 4 times more for energy than their American counterparts. Washington calls it freedom gas, but for Berlin and Paris, it's a golden leash. Every cubic meter of gas delivered across the Atlantic is a nail in the coffin of European competitiveness. In response, Brussels has activated strategic autonomy. Europe is no longer asking for permission. From new taxes on American tech giants to blocking U.S. acquisitions of European startups, the retaliation is reaching a boiling point. The European Commission has labeled the U.S. an unfair competitor, a term previously reserved only for China. The gloves are off, and the trade barriers are rising. This isn't just about money. It's about survival in the AI era. As the U.S. and China race for dominance, Europe is being squeezed in the middle. Washington's small yard, high fence policy now includes European companies, preventing them from trading with the East. For Paris, this is a violation of sovereignty. For Washington, it's the price of loyalty. But in 2026, loyalty is a currency no one can afford. Today, we decode the 2026 U.S.-EU trade war, a conflict that could destroy the global economy to save national industries. From the gas ports of Louisiana to the boardroom of the European Central Bank, the lines are drawn. This is GEOSTRAT. The end of the West begins now. Subscribe to understand the new map of power. Europe's industrial heart didn't stop because of a lack of will. It stopped because the fuel became too expensive. By 2026, the U.S. liquefied natural gas, LNG, has replaced Russian pipelines, but the cost of Atlantic security is staggering. Every tanker arriving at European ports carries a price tag that makes German steel twice as expensive as American. Washington is no longer just an ally. It is the sole energy provider, holding the power to switch the lights off in Paris or Berlin with a single executive order. But the trap has a second layer, the Inflation Reduction Act. Washington isn't just selling expensive gas. It's offering massive tax breaks to any European company willing to relocate to the U.S. BASF, Volkswagen, Siemens, the giants of the old world are moving their production lines to Ohio and Georgia. In 2026, the Rhine River, once the artery of European power, is becoming a graveyard of empty warehouses and rusted cranes. Berlin calls it a backstab. Paris calls it economic war. For the first time since 1945, the European Commission has set up a war room to counter American economic aggression. Their mission, to stop the brain drain and the capital flight. But without cheap energy, Europe's subsidies are just a drop in the ocean compared to the sheer financial gravity of the U.S. Treasury. The European dream is being sold for parts, one factory at a time. The tension is spreading to the seas. U.S. tankers carrying LNG are now being prioritized over European cargo at critical ports. In 2026, a new maritime hierarchy has emerged. If you aren't paying the security premium to Houston or New Orleans, your energy arrives late, or not at all. This is the new Atlantic Order, a system where geopolitical loyalty is measured in British thermal units and paid for in the devalued currency of the old world. Europe's response? The Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, a desperate attempt to tax American goods and protect what's left of local industry. But Washington has already warned. Any tax on U.S. products will be met with immediate tariffs on German cars and French luxury. It's a game of chicken where Europe is driving a bicycle and America is driving a semi-truck. The impact is inevitable, and the fallout will be global. As the trade war heats up, the very foundations of Western security are melting. If the economies diverge, the armies will follow. In 2026, the question is no longer if the alliance will break, but when. The Atlantic is getting wider every day. Up next, the secret military divorce and the birth of the Euro-Armada. If you don't control your energy, you don't control your destiny. In 2026, Paris and Berlin have reached a grim conclusion. NATO is no longer a shield, it's a leash. As Washington focuses on the Pacific, Europe is launching the Silent Mutiny. The goal? A unified Euro army, independent of American command. For the first time since 1945, European generals are meeting in secret rooms, planning a future where the U.S. military is no longer invited. The flashpoint is the Eurofighter 2.0 and the SCAF project. Washington is furious. Every euro spent on local defense is a euro lost for the American military-industrial complex. In 2026, the U.S. has threatened to stop sharing high-level intelligence if Europe doesn't buy F-35s. It's an ultimatum: buy American technology or go blind in the next war. The divorce is moving from the bank accounts to the cockpits. But Europe is pushing back with Iris Superscript 2, their own version of Starlink. In 2026, the sky is being partitioned. Brussels is tired of Elon Musk and the Pentagon controlling the flow of information. By launching their own sovereign satellite constellation, the EU is building its own digital Iron Dome. This isn't just about internet. It's about the ability to strike without asking for Washington's GPS coordinates. Washington's response has been the Okinawification of Eastern Europe. By 2026, the U.S. has bypassed Paris and Berlin, signing direct bilateral defense deals with Poland and the Baltics. The continent is now split into New Europe, loyal to the dollar, and Old Europe, dreaming of sovereignty. This internal border is the most dangerous development in 80 years. A house divided against itself cannot stand, and the Kremlin is watching with a smile. The economic war has become a battle for the soul of NATO. If France and Germany refuse to fund the Pacific Front against China, Washington has made it clear, you are on your own against Russia. In 2026, Article 5 is no longer a guarantee. It's a subscription service. And the price of the premium tier is complete submission to American economic and military dictates. The Silent Mutiny is becoming a loud divorce. As the last ties of the Cold War snap, a new, colder reality emerges. A world of three poles: the U.S., China, and a struggling, defiant Europe. But can the old world survive without the American shield? Or is it already too late? Next, the 2026 Endgame and the birth of a new global map. 2026 is the year the West, as a political concept, officially died. The trade war wasn't a mistake. It was a transition. Washington has realized that to survive the 21st century, it must be an island, economically, energetically, and militarily. Europe, once the favored child, is now just another competitor on a crowded map. The bridges have been burned, and the smoke is clearing to reveal a tripolar world. But a lonely Europe is a dangerous Europe. Without the American shield, Berlin and Paris are rearming at a rate not seen since the 1930s. This isn't just about defense, it's about industrial survival. The new Fortress Europe is closing its markets, building its own tech, and looking for new allies in the global south. The divorce has forced the old world to grow up, or face extinction in the shadow of the two giants. In Washington, the sentiment is clear. America First is no longer a slogan, it's a survival mechanism. By cutting the ties to Europe, the U.S. has freed itself from the burdens of the old alliance to focus entirely on the Pacific. But the cost is the loss of the largest economic bloc in history. As the two shores of the Atlantic drift apart, the space between them is being filled by a new Cold War that no one was prepared for. The end of the West doesn't mean the end of the world. It means the end of an era of certainty. The maps you studied in school are now obsolete. In 2026, geography is destiny once again, and the Atlantic is now the widest ocean on the planet. This is the endgame of the Great Divorce. The question is, in a world of three poles, where will you stand when the final line is drawn? The struggle for dominance has only just begun. Don't let the headlines distract you. Look at the map. Subscribe to GEOSTRAT to stay ahead of the next global shift. Let us know in the comments. Is the USCU alliance dead? Or is this just a temporary fever? We'll see you on the next frontier. This is the map of power.